So if you're like me, you enjoy looking at new research and what's coming up. I'm literally here in a hotel at the IEEE ISSCC conference, that's Solid States conference, because I want to learn about the new fun things in circuits in CPU cache design. But next month, I want you to join me with NVIDIA at the GPU Technology Conference, or GTC. GTC is an event that will run from March 17th to the 21st for workshops and 18th to the 21st for the presentations. And for everybody watching this video, if you sign up with the link provided below, watch Jensen's keynote and another one of the sessions, you will be entered into a prize draw for an RTX 4090. That's pretty insane, and it's free to sign up for the event. You register virtually and you can see all the presentations on offer through the website that are on demand and virtual. Now, this video is done in partnership with NVIDIA. They are going to be flying me out there. I'm going to be attending the event. There will be a Q&A with Jensen, not a one-on-one, it'll be a group Q&A, but we'll get a chance to ask about the latest GPU technology, whether that's graphics, AI, and compute. Now, GTC is historically a more enterprise-focused event. They will have the Game Developer Conference happening alongside GDC for graphics. However, because this channel has focused so much on AI recently and the latest advances on AI, I mean, I have people come up to me, I have investors come up to me and say, what's the latest in AI hardware? I have the AI hardware show you should definitely check out. So this is why NVIDIA reached out to me and said, hey, we've got this great conference, we've got almost 1,000 talks going on. Let's give the audience to TechTechPotato a chance to come and see what's going on with NVIDIA and GPU technology in the market. So much like I've done rundowns for previous events from TSMC or Hot Chips, we're going to run down a few of the features of GTC that I'm going to be finding interesting when I'm out there. I'm also be getting a headquarters tour, so stay tuned for that as well. That's not going to be sponsored. That's going to be of my own volition, but I'm really looking forward to going and seeing what NVIDIA call the spaceship. So let's run down the format of the event. It's going to be over 4 or 5 days. On that first day, they're going to have workshops and what they call the Deep Learning Institute conferences. I've actually got a list down here. And there's going to be a welcome reception for everybody on site from 5 p.m. Then Monday, we're going to have registration, we're going to have the start of the sessions, but the highlight of the day is going to be Jensen's 2-hour keynote at the SAP Center from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Pacific. And as is typical with Jensen keynotes, what they're going to do here is explain the latest of what's happened with the NVIDIA technology. We already know about the A100, Ampere 100 GPUs, we know about H100, the Hopper 100 GPUs. Then we've got Grace, the ARM-based CPU, and Grace Hopper. So we're going to get a full rundown on how they've been deployed to date and what they're being used for and some of the new stuff that's going on there. I'm hoping to see some more of perhaps the H200, which they announced last year. And we might hear a little bit about what we think is going to be called the B100. I'm fingers crossed that we actually get a glimpse of what's coming up in the future. I know a lot of this channel is all about what's coming, what's coming, what's coming. Well, we need to see what NVIDIA is coming next. There's also going to be a very massive deep dive into the software packages that NVIDIA currently has. I mean, they're not a $1 trillion company for nothing. We're going to hear about robotics. We're going to hear about self-driving. We're going to hear about digital twins. We're going to hear about VR, AR, and then the applications of machine learning on top of that and how we integrate some of these AI models. Whether that's for gaming, whether that's going to be for language, whether that's going to be for, say, weather or medical. We'll get into a few of these when I get into some of the talks that I've picked out. But for 2 hours, it's going to be Jensen on stage going deep into a lot of this stuff. After that, there's going to be more sessions. There are going to be more sessions and more workshops during the day. And then this is where the show floor is open. So if you've never been to a tech industry trade show, there's usually 1 or 2 components. It's either A or B or A and B. A is the research and presentations. This is where they have halls full of seats and they do presentations talking about a product and implementation or the latest research from a university. And there's going to be a lot of universities providing research here at GTC. The second is the trade show floor. This is where the companies that have they're either sponsoring an event, they've paid to have a booth, they're going to be showing off what their company is doing, how they're applying some of these technologies, and giving a chance to show either researchers or potential customers or press, and influencers like me about what's the latest and greatest of what they've been doing. There will also be about a dozen pavilions focused on very specific areas within NVIDIA's verticals. And there's a few of those. We'll get into those in a little bit. But the idea there is that you have like 8 to 10 companies all focused in the same area, usually startups, all showing off their latest demos. And then we've got the main bulk of the day. So Tuesday and Wednesday, it's going to be the exhibit hall. The show floor is going to be open, and that's when a bulk of the talks and workshops are going to be going on. And then on the final day, we've got some final sessions. There are going to be labs and short courses open till about 4 p.m. So for a lot of the people attending this event, especially researchers, this is their one big event of the year. And anybody who's watching this who can't attend in person, if you sign up virtually, then a number of these talks and a number of these presentations, maybe not the show floor, it will depend on whether the companies actually record those separately, but the rest of the research talks, as many as possible, it's going to be available online. Some will be available live, some will be available on demand, and you can get those through signing up through the link. So yeah, let's go over what the exhibit hall is going to be. There's going to be over 100 companies with booths there. Some of them are going to be bigger than others, depending on how much they sponsor the event. And we're going to have, the big names are obviously the cloud providers. We're going to have AWS, we're going to have Google, we're going to have Oracle, Azure, and then the system integrators. We're going to have Dell, Lenovo, Supermicro, Asus, Gigabyte, MSI, all the people who sell the systems that ultimately go into data centers that company use. Like I said, each booth is designed to be a talking point, for the company to be able to see, to be able to show the latest demo and provide people on site who can answer questions. Where, how are they using the GPUs? What new technologies are they using? How are they using it? What's the business plan? What's the business idea? What's the revenue model? I like going up to these companies and asking just a bunch of those questions just to make sure that they know what they're doing and how applicable it is either to me or the industry or to perhaps you guys. And you've seen that in previous conferences where I've done short videos showing off what's going on. We saw a lot of AI at supercomputing, for example, and obviously AI is going to be a big focus here as well. Some of the booths will be big enough such that the companies will organize their own set of talks. This is usually their partners, customers, or the executives of the company, the various VPs, talking about how they're doing in healthcare or oil and gas or automotive or robotics or embedded, edge, that sort of thing. These are very much, you have to go around on day one during the happy hour to see what the companies are showcasing, because they may not necessarily be in the booklets that they hand out for all the attendees. Best time to get these schedules is during that happy hour straight after Jensen's keynote. Now, earlier I mentioned pavilions, these sort of areas where 10, 12 of these startups all come together because they all share a common interest. The pavilions this year, and I'll read the list, are AI Center of Excellence, AI at the Edge, automotive, generative AI, that's going to be a big one, healthcare and life sciences, inception startups, industrial digitalization, machine learning operations and LLM operation platforms, Metropolis, and mixed reality zone or XR zone. So that's going to be a mixture of hardware, a mixture of software. I think out of those, I'm going to be interested in what the generative AI section is doing, or AI at the edge. That's usually where you get some of the more innovative silicon deployments. And what I really want to get out of this conference is perhaps some information about silicon and how that's being integrated. Another thing that GTC offers is workshops. So these are dedicated longer sessions for learning and understanding what's going on in a particular area or to build up skills. Workshops are going to be all day on Sunday the 17th, and then there'll be labs on later days. If you're going to be there in person, you do have to pay for them. They're $495 in person or $149 if you decide to attend virtually. And there's a focus on AI this year. Let me go through the list. There's going to be fundamentals of deep learning, Gen AI for diffusion models, so image generation, app development with large language models, computer vision with synthetic data, so generating data for vision, LLM customization, and model parallelism and deploying large neural networks. So that's if you've got a large model that you need to go company-wide. Essentially all of those, you get dedicated people in those areas teaching you about them and helping to understand. Now you may think, well, okay, $495, $149, these are really targeted at businesses in the ecosystem trying to teach their staff, and this is a very quick way to get a little bit of training in. And for some of these companies, it's simply the cost of doing business. Train your staff and get them to do better. For those who are actually in attendance, there are 2-hour individual training sessions about chatbots, NVIDIA Metropolis for like factory optimization and workflow, clinical large language models, and things like robotics with NVIDIA ISAC, and that's complimentary for anyone who has a workshop included in their pass. Now, for the main talks, the event, this is the stuff that I kind of go to the event to talk for. Show floor is great, show floor is interesting, show floor is where you meet a ton of people. And as I've said in this industry, it's more about who you know than what you know. So if you are in attendance, please do go meet a ton of people. I really do like going to the talks. As I said, there's almost 1,000 talks at this show. I think the latest count, there were 912 talks. 64 of them will be offered on demand, online, and 188 virtually. Some of these will be offered live, though as far as I understand it, there's not a consistent guarantee which ones will be available live. And I get that that may be a problem if you're, say, based in Europe or Australia with the timing, but if you can make the time, go check it out. And as I said, it's free to sign up online to any of those on-demand and virtual sessions. Now, the stipulation here, if you want to go win one of those RTX 4090s, you do have to use my link to sign up. Apologies if you have already. You do have to go watch the keynote, and you'd have to attend one of these on-demand or virtual sessions. And if that's gone in, you'll be entered into the draw for that. NVIDIA is engaging a bunch of us creators to attend the event this year in hopes of boosting signups, and 4090 for watching a couple of talks, entered into a draw. That sounds pretty neat to me. But the talks that I'm interested in, the talks that I'm going to hopefully get a chance to go see, the thing about these events is that there'll be lots of talks that are really interesting that all occur at the same time. So you kind of have to decide which ones are the best. And then which ones you could potentially get on catch-up. But things that I'm interested in, this is in no particular order, but the main talk I'm interested in is going to be the research updates with NVIDIA's Build DALL-E. That's going to be on Tuesday, March 19th at 11 a.m. Tuesday, March 19th, 11 a.m. Insights from NVIDIA Research, Build DALL-E, who's the SVP of Research. So he's going to highlight everything that's happened in NVIDIA Research in the past 12 months. So we're going to go over some of the new hardware, a lot of new software deployments. Obviously, LLMs have been a massive thing. No substantive details yet on what the talk is going to be. I hope there's going to be some forward-looking statements into what's coming in 2024, what stuff's been working on. And again, that I think is going to be where, if there's going to be any hardware discussion about what's coming in the future, that would be a good one to attend. Now, one of the big sections in this year's event that I noticed going through all the talks is generative AI for medicine. Now you're thinking, what do you mean? Why would I let AI do anything medicine related? Turns out it's already deep in use in terms of organizing documents and simply analyzing images to see what's wrong. But the point here at the show is that there are going to be a number of talks going through exactly how that's used, how it's making the process better, and also where all the humans in the loop are. So the first talk I've got here listed, it's Tuesday, March 19th at 11 a.m. So unfortunately it is the same time as NVIDIA Research, but again, it depends what sort of track you're interested in. The role of generative AI in modern medicine. So this has got NVIDIA, Microsoft, and a couple of people from research institutes. And it's talking about how generative AI can be targeted rather than this concept of AI being fuzzy, because it's some sort of fuzzy math. So it's going to be how it can be used to generate new methods, but also provide customized healthcare. This whole thing of having a treatment that's tailored for you and doing that through a generative AI solution. And obviously there are some industry reluctance. So this panel is going to go through some of those, what's going on to address some of those. On top of that, there's AI-driven drug discovery. There's another session Thursday, 21st at 8 a.m. Unraveling biological complexities with AI-driven drug discovery. And there's going to be a number of these that like Lab in a Loop and computer-aided drug discovery with NVIDIA NeMo. A number of various talks. I'll show them on the screen. All about how one of the big issues in drug discovery today is finding the right molecules with the right activity and the right target for what you need them to go do. And manually this is done is by going through hundreds of thousands of tens of thousands of different reactions to create molecules and seeing how they interact with potential targets, in a petri dish first before they go in vitro into animals and into humans. So the role of generative AI here is to find commonalities in that design. What machine learning and AI is built for is to find commonalities that the human brain doesn't initially comprehend. What about these sets of molecules make them active versus others? And especially in a biological context, can that create potential targets for development? And to a certain extent, AI is also being used to provide directions into how do you actually make those molecules in a cost-effective way. So there's going to be a number of talks about that. I mean, I mentioned computer-accelerated drug design with NVIDIA NeMo. NeMo is the NVIDIA platform for bringing these large models into something fine-tuned and smaller, so they run on less extensive hardware. And they've got NeMo models for all sorts of things. So enabling that in drug discovery, now you could say, well, if you're doing drug discovery, I want you to have the biggest GPU cluster you can get. But for things like optimized medicine, maybe you need to do it on smaller models. And again, where the human is in that loop is going to be an important point to discuss, and that's why they have these discussions at GTC. Accelerating simulations of chemical reactors using NVIDIA Modulus. So this is implementing physics with neural networks and how to design large-scale reaction vessels for some of these compounds. And I highlighted a list here, up to 10 to the 8 times faster with equivalent accuracy of conventional methods. So this is a company who's managed to get it to work and can actually show benchmarks where it's improved. And apologies if you can hear the sirens outside. This is San Francisco. Now, alongside that, for people who are interested in software, obviously NVIDIA hardware is built for CUDA. CUDA is the language, so there's going to be a number of CUDA sessions about how to up-level your CUDA. March 19th at 11 a.m. there's going to be CUDA New Features and Beyond, talking about what's happened in CUDA recently and what new features are going to be coming to the next generations of CUDA. So it's a yearly update of the development stack for all these GPUs. And the same presenter 2 days later, Thursday at 9 a.m, is going to be how to write a CUDA program, Ninja Edition. If you're not a software developer, if you're perhaps mid-level management or whatever, then this concept of a software ninja may be new to you. A ninja is the employee you have that can do the work of 100 others. They're that good, they execute that well, and as long as they've got the rest of their life in order, they're a great asset to your company. And the goal of some of this industry is how do we get as many of those ninjas working at these individual companies as they can. So teaching your staff how to be programming ninjas. And so there's going to be a few sessions based on how to accelerate the compute of your CUDA code like a ninja. So if I was writing CUDA code day in, day out, that is definitely something I would want to attend. Wednesday, there's going to be a talk, I think that's relevant to people who are still apprehensive about machine learning, especially generative machine learning in the business context. People always ask me, Ian, where is AI being used today in modern businesses? And the easy examples are, say, Amazon recommendation engines. It's telling you, it's showing you what you think would be best for you to buy based on its training data set of what other people have been bought before. Social media integrates recommendation engines for what are you most likely to look at and see, and some of it is really effective. So what do we do to go beyond that? There's a session here about the 5 generative AI apps for use for your business. So this is a talk put on by NVIDIA for startups. And one of the examples I'd like to give now for companies in that position is HR. the ability to enable generative AI for when you're building job descriptions for hiring, when you're having to go through payroll. There are companies out there that have implemented generative AI to their HR, or just general AI to their HR, and being able to save millions of dollars at scale. So the fact that there are some of these tools that are accessible for companies today. What this talk is going to go through, again, I've got a list here. Expect to hear about HR optimizations and internal tools, public-facing chatbots, reducing costs and streamlining optimization and productivity. The whole point here is, like I said before, find the commonality between different sets of data that humans can't find, and that's what machine learning is really good at. We've also got talks, so I was talking a lot about AI, and obviously GPU Technology Conference isn't all about AI, it's also about compute. So we're talking high performance computing, supercomputers, all that hard stuff that needs proper mathematics. There are going to be talks at GTC about that. And so one of the ones I wanted to highlight is computational fluid dynamics, the ability to see airflows over vehicles, aerofoils, and the classic example is, Formula One. How do we accelerate? How do you make these cars go faster? By analyzing the aerodynamics. You have to do computational fluid dynamics to see the fluid flow over various surfaces, to see whether you need a winglet here or an adjustment here, and how slippery it is, and how can we get the best fuel efficiency, not only for the very fast car on the track, but also the car on the road. So there's going to be a session with Mercedes and Siemens talking about Grace Hopper, so the CPU and GPU integration, how CFD has been accelerated by having that strong 900 gigabytes per second C2C link between those chips. In terms of acceleration, again, there's also, in high performance computing, a lot of what they do is matrix math, and that's all linear solvers, what they call linear solvers. And so there's going to be a topic here purely about accelerating linear solvers on NVIDIA Grace. So that's just the ARM-based CPU. What's exciting here is that they're doing fluid flow simulation, so kind of like CFD. This is done by an oil and gas company, Petrobras, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, from Brazil, taking their internal tools. And it's a story of porting traditional code to ARM, then comparing x86 to ARM, but then also comparing different ARM cores in the market. So it's Graviton 3 and Grace in this case, I believe. So they're going to be bringing benchmarks to the front, and everybody wants to see benchmarks. There's also going to be accelerating other scientific flows. There's going to be talks on that. I've got it down here as Wednesday, 11 a.m. So it's speaking about how the CPU and GPU architecture today we know about, but what happens when you unify that architecture, provide it with a unified memory space. What happens when you have a fast link between the CPU part and the GPU part? Again, this 900 gigabyte per second link. And there's a session here that literally goes through the features, the scientific software stacks for the HPC community, and then ultimately HPC benchmarks, which we all want to see. And I could spend an hour talking about all the talks here that look relevant, but I'm going to end with something that's a bit less technical and a bit more conceptual. A lot of people are worried about AI. A lot of people are worried about machine learning. So there's a session here on Thursday, the 21st at 9 a.m. So I believe that's the last day. AI secrets I wish I knew. So this is a panel between NVIDIA, academia, professionals, and I think there may even be the government in there. And the whole point here is giving guidance to students early in their AI career. So how best do you integrate the topic of artificial intelligence and generative AI into students in the classroom? Back when I was at school, it was always about encyclopedias versus Wikipedia versus other references. I mean, I remember learning that it's better to have a website as a link than Wikipedia, even though any random website could be any Tom writing that sort of website. And so when it comes to generative AI, how does that fit into the ecosystem, and how should we be approaching that with students? This talk is mainly focused between for educators, students, But I think it's the professionals aspect we have to think about here. A number of us work for companies or have our own companies where we're looking to see, what's the best way to integrate any sort of machine learning to increase productivity, and how do we teach our staff to do it? So it's going to be important finding the right way to teach your staff. Team leaders want to be more productive, and so at some point you have to train your staff on it. And this session, AI Secrets I Wish I Knew, is going to be from veterans who have had to deploy this. And so it's going to be a chance for people to learn from those mistakes, good practices, bad practices, best practices. So that's going to be one that I'm going to be interested in hearing, because I always want to up-level my understanding of AI and AI use. I already use tools today to help generate thumbnails, help optimize scripts, and in certain cases you may not have realized, put my voice over B-roll. I've done that in a few videos now. Kudos to those of you who have recognized it. But when I'm on a plane and I have to put a video together, and I do have access to the internet, and I have access to a tool that generates my own voice, that's almost scary, but it's helping with workflow. So GTC is going to be a large scale event. If you're going to be on site and you happen to see me, please do come up and say hello. I won't bite. And if you got any questions, happy to hear them out. It's going to be actually my first GTC in person, so that's exciting. Again, I'm going to have some time with Jensen, at least in a group Q&A. So if you've got any Q for him to please do let me know in the comments. And if you're interested in being in that draw for the RTX 4090, please do sign up for the link below. Have a look through the schedule and highlight a couple of talks that you want to attend. You do have to attend, sign into the keynote and into one of those talks to be entered in for that raffle. We'll also have the full terms and conditions down below. It's a giveaway being run by NVIDIA themselves. So if you have any questions, we can also forward it on to them to get them answered. But GTC, looking forward to seeing you there.